I dropped out of high school to start flipping couches. Now, at the time I dropped out, of course, I already had the couch flipping business already started up, and I was doing it for about 1 to 2 years before then. And here's the thing, here's the layout of it. So basically, in high school, I only went in person, and this is going to be more of like a personal video, but I only went in person for about 2 years out of high school. And the last like 1 to 2 years in high school, I was online. So I took all my courses online. And what this did for me was basically, as time went on, maybe in the beginning I was turning in assignments, but as time went on, I started to not turn in the assignments basically and not pay too much attention to the online courses. But the reason why I did online was because I wanted to take the couch flipping stuff seriously. I had other businesses going on as well and just other focuses in life. And I heard actually about people doing it as well. I heard other people doing this is exactly how I got into the whole online course stuff. And I'll let you guys know how this eventually led me to where I'm at now, which is we're doing around 20K a month in our couch flipping operation out in St. Louis, Missouri. And that's about 25 to 35 sales per month. So it's not like I'm a millionaire or anything. However, I love what I do and it's able to support my living expenses. And I'm super blessed to be able to do what I do. But, anyways, that's exactly how I found out about this whole online course stuff. And I didn't even know that I can take in high school entirely online until I heard about it from one of my buddies who actually was online, was taking online courses for a different reason than starting a business. He was not the best kid, and he's the one who actually gave me the idea and put me onto it. And I was like, wait, what? So I can ask this department at my high school and see if I can do online courses. And like, yeah, you can go out and ask them about it and see if you can get enrolled. And that's exactly what I did. That's exactly how I got onto the whole online courses. And the reason why I did this was because high school was never just for me. And I know that's so cliche, but it truly wasn't. I never really had a real friend group in high school. And I was lucky enough to find my way because a lot of the kids who don't have their own friend group lose themselves a lot of the time or get caught up in places where they shouldn't be. So I was lucky enough to have a few things that really supported me through that time. And one was my parents and my family in general. I was always close to my family, so it's not like I was the only person in my family. I had no other siblings. I actually have a big family, so that super helped out. And I think if it weren't for that, then I possibly could have ended up being, getting taken down the wrong path because of this. But luckily that wasn't the case, right? And also luckily I had a girlfriend at the time that also kept me level minded, and that helped out a bit as well. So, but the point is that I took online courses up until about senior year when I completely stopped turning in courses, completely failing every single course I was taking online. And it was coming up to my senior year. I think towards the beginning of it, I eventually was like, I don't see why I'm still doing this. I just always had the stress in the back of my mind about what am I going to do about these online courses because I know I'm not turning in any assignments. And even though I wasn't doing any work putting any work into it. I was already kind of relieved from that just because I was like, I made a decision to just not do any work. But it was still in the back of my head, and I still had that stress about it. So eventually, I somehow made the moves to, one, mention it to my mom, which was not too big of a deal. I think I was super communicative about everything with her throughout the whole entire period of the online courses. But eventually, me and my mom set up a time to go into my high school and talk to some sort of representative under this department of the online courses. And it was actually two ladies. And I just remember this exact moment because it was two big old chunky ladies at my high school. And the reason why I say that is because I just have this picture in my head that I strictly remember of these two ladies. And they're both overweight, and one is literally eating sugar daddies, like the candy. She's eating sugar daddies and like as she's talking to me about my high school career. Like the most serious thing, the most serious conversation she's having all day. And like, I'm talking about dropping out of high school and she's just munching on her sugar daddies. And the reason why I say that, it just goes to show you how unprofessional the whole thing was. And it made me realize, like, wow, this stuff doesn't really matter at all. And anyways, me and my mom attend the meeting, and she's explaining to them how I'm out working late all night with these couches, and this is all I work on. And I remember her saying that specifically. That's why I wanted to mention that, because I was doing pickups. I was at a storage unit at the time, and I do strictly remember me always coming home at like 10, 11 p.m., just being at my storage unit all day. That's all I did. And I worked like a ton of hours out on the truck, out at my storage unit, cleaning couches. Now I have that completely outsourced at the moment with a driver, two couch cleaners. So I really don't do any of the work, at least physically. I focus on the marketing and whatnot. But anyways, we're sitting down and my mom's explaining how I'm out late, 10, 11 p.m., always working. And at that time, I was the one driving the truck. And I just remember whenever I used to drive the truck, I would always try to play a productive video, listen to a productive podcast, listen to audiobooks. I was just trying to level up my life, right? And this is when I was like 16, probably 17. So this is around like 17 years old. Me and my mom are at this meeting, and they're began to give us options to like test out of high school. There's a list of like 8 exams I can complete, and you can still technically graduate and get your degree. Or there was a second option of getting my GED, and maybe a third option that I can't recall. But I think we eventually settled on me getting my GED, and that was kind of the end of it. I don't know if we made a decision right then and there. I think I ended up emailing them shortly after the meeting. However, I decided to say, fuck testing out, fuck all those exams. Like, I think I needed to reach like a certain percentage on these exams in order to actually test out. And even at that, it was like a couple of weeks of work. And I'm like, I can't even be asked to do a couple of weeks of work. And that was with me like going in back to high school. Cause mind you, I was already online for like a full year, year and a half. So this is me going back into high school. I'm like, dude, I'm already doing what I'm doing. And I could not be asked to go back to high school and complete that test. So I decided to fuck that off. And eventually I just dropped out. Like, it was no testing out. I did buy the GED course because there's actually like the things you have to do to, like, you have to purchase it in order to take the test, and you have to do like a practice. I don't know. I did end up buying that, but I never completed it. And that was it. I was like 17 years old. And as I make this video, I'm reminiscing about it, looking back on it, because I've never sat down for 10 minutes and talked about this before ever in my life. This is something that I just moved on and completely forgot about, basically. So this is the first time I'm really looking back on it and understanding what happened. Obviously, I recall what happened, but I never really analyzed the situation. And it's very interesting because I was about 17 years old. This is kind of where it gets like deep, because it's a very personal topic, honestly, but these are the type of videos that I want to make, just to connect with you guys a little bit more and connect with the audience that I will build up a little bit more. And maybe people in the future are looking back on my old videos and seeing this. And honestly, it's to connect with all the people who are maybe in a similar situation, and they can use this to help themselves. So after that, nothing really changed that much. It was crazy that I dropped out. I was like, whoa, this is serious. But honestly, I was already doing online school, flipping couches. Well, online school. I wasn't turning any assignments in. And now I'm just out of school, still flipping couches. So it's like, it wasn't a huge change, but it was like, one, a relief that I was now out of the whole online program and school in general. But two, I guess you could say, I guess I recall a little bit of, okay, this is real. I really need to make this work. But everything really stayed the same. I continued doing what I'm doing. And this leads me into the next chapter, which at 18 years old, I ended up moving out of my parents' house, getting an apartment. And the reason why I did this was because I always wanted my own space. I was always so mad and frustrated with being around people like my parents, because I felt that I'm my own man. Why am I still living with my parents? It just doesn't make sense to me. And I was so uncomfortable with that fact, because I was trying to work on my businesses, and I just couldn't do that with them always being around, and my mom being in the same house as me. It was just kind of weird to me. I felt like I needed to take the next step and really move out on my own, be alone, grow. And like, I guess the main reason was to put my back against the wall a bit more as well. Now I have to pay rent, this and that, to really help me take things seriously, I guess you could say. So that's what I did. And I got a 6-month lease, and it was good, right? It was good. However, I learned a lot about living alone. Like, when you live alone, right now I live with my brother. We'll get into how I got there, but when you live alone, you have a lot of leeway to get distracted because no one's around you, no one's watching you, no one's going to be home soon. And I learned a lot about myself, especially looking back on it now, living with my brother. And I learned that when you live alone, like I said, you don't have any pressure to perform. Whereas now I feel like I have way more pressure to perform, even though me and my brother aren't working together or anything. But I still feel like I have the pressure. Like, you have the social pressure. Like, what are you doing with your life? Are you working out today? Did you go to the gym today? Like, you can't just sit in your bed and watch TV all day, because the other person's like watching you and would be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, for an example, when I lived in that 6-month lease, I would sit on the couch and watch TV. Here, I've never sat on the couch one time and watched TV. One time. I just don't watch TV, and but it just went to show. I mean, I do watch like YouTube in my bed on my TV, but not like TV in the living room. But when I lived alone, I did watch TV in the living room, right? And I sat on my couch, and there was quite a few times and a lot of hours wasted just sitting on my couch, looking at the TV. And so that's what it taught me about living alone. But overall, I enjoyed it. It was a good experience. I liked my place. I didn't like the area so much, but I think that's with every area. I really did like my place. My landlord was cool. It was a super cool place. And it was a duplex, but they were still renovating the bottom part of the unit. So I had the top part and the whole building all to myself for the whole 6 months. So that was cool. And yeah, looking back on it, of course, you're going to remember the good times, the good memories I had in that place, and not necessarily the bad moments or the struggles. And that's with anything, especially with like heartbreak and exes. But it was a good place, though. It was a good place. I enjoyed myself. And I guess I have a lot of emotional attachment to that place because those whole 6 months I was dating a girl at the time. So I guess I have a lot of emotional attachment in that regard. But it was fun. A lot of memories. And yeah, again, it was a nice place. But now I moved to a different area. And the reason why I moved, and I was actually just about to renew that lease until I made the decision to move, because my warehouse for my couch company was located so far away. I remember driving from my apartment to my warehouse when I lived at that old place and being sleepy by the time I got to my warehouse just because of how long the drive was. So I knew I needed to move closer, and that's exactly what I did, and that's exactly what brought me here, which is about 20 minutes away from my warehouse, whereas before it was around 35 minutes. So small difference, but big difference at the same time. And it's nowhere near as far. Like, I feel a lot closer. But yeah, I've been here for like 5 months now. And has it been 5 months? June? About 6 months, actually. Wow. 6 to 7 months. So now we're here, warehouse, about 3,000 square feet. And actually, a couple months after I moved into that last place, like fresh out, moving out of my parents' house, 18, a couple months after that, in September, I moved out in June, actually. So about exactly a year from now, like, wait, like almost the exact day, a year from now, I moved out of my parents' house. And then a couple months after that, we moved into the warehouse, the 3,000 square foot warehouse. So I had to move all of my couches from the storage unit. Me and my brother moved all the couches and moved them into our warehouse. So I don't recall how many couches, maybe like around 15 to 20 couches from these storage units, moved them all to my warehouse. And here we are today. We're still doing it. Again, recently hired a driver about a month ago, and that frees up so much of my time. Payroll is a bit expensive, but I'm getting systems in place to manage that so that I can keep my net margin high. And I'm learning a lot, and I love business to this day. We're actually getting into B stock as well, so we're in the process of transitioning a big percentage of our sales and inventory into B stock. At least that's what I'm working on now. I really haven't it's really majority used still, but I'm still trying to make that transition. I'd like it to be at least 50-50, if not like 60% B stock, 40% used. The only reason for that is because, one, a lot of the couches are in better shape, better style, more popular. But two, we can source inventory in bulk, so we don't have to go around individually picking up couches. And the profit margins, the profit margins are basically the same as used. So it just makes sense. But I'm just working on winning bids on bstock.com and actually winning the truckloads. But that's where we are now. And that's the state of my business. A lot of problems every day, and there's also like, you guys, I've had doubts about the business, of course. Like every month there's usually a period of time, or I would say even like a couple periods of time, some bigger than others and some months bigger than others, where you just doubt your financial situation. I remember one in particular living at my old apartment where I had this big panic attack about my financial situation, and I was like weighing in taxes and stuff, and I was like, shit, did I even make any money this year? And I had like this big anxiety panic attack that lasted like a half hour, and it was pretty bad, but it's just like all in your head, bro. It's all in your head. Everyone has those doubts, and everyone who's successful has those doubts and doubted themselves before, but it's just all in your head. And I've learned that having that abundance mindset about money and anything in life, like woman, is so much better than being frugal or worrying about every penny. It's such a bad mindset to have. So you want to ensure you keep that abundance mindset, because that's super important. But that's where we are now. That's my plans for the future of the business. And again, I love every part about the business. Even though there's problems every day in business, I do love it a lot. That's a little personal dive into my life, and honestly, like how these last couple of years have been. And there it is, guys. Hope you enjoyed.